Only mode.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to the Danbury ECHO eMentoring training for our workplace learning. My name is Mary Gregory. I'm the director of the Danbury Schools and Business Collaborative, and I'm here with Sarah Roy, who's the director of the DECO program. Before we begin the presentation, a couple of housekeeping tips. You as participants are muted to reduce background noise. However, if you have any questions along the way, we ask that you please type them into the question box that is available for you, and we will field our questions as they come up. So we want to first start by thanking you. I want to thank you on behalf of Danbury Schools and Business Collaborative for, I think, many of our mentors who are attending today have mentored in the past or are also currently one-on-one mentors. So this is a great opportunity for us to expand how we mentor students and to be able to serve more students. So I just want to thank you for taking the time to mentor. Yeah.
Hi everyone. My name is Sarah Roy. I'm the director of the Danbury Early College. What is Danbury ECHO? It is part of Connecticut's statewide early college opportunity program. It is a partnership between Danbury Public Schools, Naugatuck Valley Community College, New Oak, Pitney Bowes, and the Danbury Schools and Business Collaborative with oversight from the Connecticut Board of Regents. And this opportunity allows students to work on an associate's degree at the same time that they're working on their high school diploma. And this degree is in computer science, and it takes 4, 5, or 6 years. And this component that we're going to be discussing today, component, it's aligned primarily with a class that we call workplace learning, and we'll talk about the workplace learning curriculum in just a minute. But basically, your role as mentor is to help our students along the way understand how to conduct themselves in business and apply what they're learning in the classroom to real-life situations outside of school. So the workplace learning class, this is just an overview of our framework. For the 4 years that students are in the high school, year 1, they have workplace learning every single day. And during this class, they're really focusing on themselves. They're learning to get to know how they learn best. They learn how they function as a team member and where their strengths and skills are. They learn on what they might need to kind of improve upon to be a better team member in the future. We teach them about etiquette and how to conduct themselves during business meetings, business lunches, how to write formally versus informally. And all of this takes place in the workplace learning classroom. Year 2, they end up focusing more on collaboration and teamwork. They discuss group dynamics and how to really be an active listener. They also learn how to refine presentations that they're giving and develop their public speaking and presentation skills. Year 3 of our workplace learning is a little bit different in that they're really honing their problem solving and professional skills. Some students may even begin an internship at that time. Year 4, the students are not actually in the classroom, but they are competing against each other for internships outside in the community. So if you'd like to potentially have an intern come work with you, that's going to be coming to a theater near you very soon.
I think it's just good to mention too, Sarah, that we are now in year 2 of the Danbury Early College Opportunity Program. So the first cohort started last school year, so those students are now sophomores, and we have cohort number 2 in place right now. So stay tuned. There's lots of exciting things happening. I guess before we move on to the professional mentoring, I think we'll just open up quickly if any of the mentors have any questions about DECO specifically or about that workplace learning class. It doesn't seem like we have any questions, so we will move on. So professional mentoring. So this looks a little bit different from other mentoring that mentors may be familiar with, particularly if you have participated in the DSABC one-on-one mentoring, school-based program, or any other type of mentoring. This is really focused on advice about workplace skills and professional development, so it's really skills-based. The interactions are tied to workplace learning curriculum, so you really are supporting what the students are learning in the classroom. It is not a big brother, big sister type program. It is not like our one-on-one program that DSABC provides to students in Danbury Public Schools, who are providing positive adult role modeling. Although you will be positive adult role models, it will be much more specific to skills-based learning. So what is your role as a mentor? So primarily you have online interaction through IBM's Mentor Place, and we're going to show you that in just a minute. That is a secured online platform where all the communication will take place. The activities require about 30 minutes or so per week, and you can do this all on your own time. So the mentoring does not take place at a prescribed time, but it can be at your convenience. Sarah, correct me if I'm wrong. However, the students are working on their mentoring activities in class.
Correct. The majority of the time the students will be working in class. You can expect about once a week.
So your mentoring really should be focused on your professional experience, maybe your background, your education, your career path, things of that nature. You will have an opportunity to interact one-on-one with your mentees. We're planning on 3 to 4 in-person meetings throughout the school year. Last year, those meetings took place at Western Connecticut State University, where the students and their mentors sit at big round tables and have lunch together, and they worked on a project where they did a public service announcement and all the pieces of that throughout those 3 meetings, I think, last year, with it culminating at the end of the school year with the students actually presenting their projects. So they're able to apply the skills that they learned through their mentoring.
Yep. Invitation for first in-person meet and greet. It will be at WestCon this year in the campus ballroom on October 27th. So you'll more information to follow for that, but that you can just kind of save the date, if you will. We do ask that you make a 1-year commitment with an option to continue with the same person or with a different mentee. If you feel there wasn't a good connection there, you can always change at the end of the year if you feel like you need to do that.
Because ideally it would be great to be able to build that relationship to help support that student as they do go out into internships, hopefully their junior and senior year, and that mentoring would very likely take on a different kind of role at that point, but ideally that would be the end goal of the mentoring. So we're going to touch upon mentor responsibilities. So we are asking that mentors serve as a positive role model at all times. We ask that mentors keep an open mind, to not be judgmental, to meet the students where they're at. And I don't know, Sarah, we just want to quickly talk about the composition of the students in the DECO program.
To apply. So if they apply for the program, they are put into a lottery, and they're randomly assigned a number, and then we can accept up to 100 students. So you can understand that we have a wide variety of students in our program. Our demographics mirror those of Danbury almost identically. And so we do have students who speak other languages. We do have students who receive special education services. In addition, we have students who are, taking all honors courses and challenging themselves to, maybe take out their lunch and take additional courses. So we do run the gamut of students at the school. You should also just kind of be aware that, again, these are 13, 14-year-old students for the most part as they begin the program. So they are younger. Their writing skills are, again, very varied. They are, some of them are very succinct in their writing, and some of them are going to give you lots of information. So you just want to kind of meet the student where they are, and encourage them to expand upon their answers if they're giving you minimalist answers, help them to write things. You don't have to correct their grammar or anything, but you can just encourage them to kind of make some changes as they move forward to help them grow as the year goes on.
So again, just like in our mentoring relationships, you know, it isn't about not being judgmental. You really just want to be supportive. You're not the teacher. You're not the parent. We ask that you give attention to the mentee. So in this case, it would be making sure that you do your activities every week. React well to stressful or frustrating situations, because there may be times that the students may forget to do their activity, or it may not be as well thought out as perhaps maybe you would like. So we just ask that you can kind of go with the flow a little bit. But don't leave yourself hanging out there. Please seek support when needed. So certainly, you know, my advice would be to reach out to Sarah, because she is the first line person who can interact, can go actually talk to the student. Their teachers might be able to help you as well. We ask that you listen well and communicate on that child's level. So again, like Sarah said, you're likely going to be working with freshmen, so they are young still, and it's early in the school year, so they may still be trying to figure things out, you know, figure out the school, figure out what does this DECO mean. So just really listen and try to listen to the subtext from some of the activities responses that they may give you. And we ask that you maintain confidentiality, and we're going to go into some specifics about that a little bit later. What are you not to do? So you're not to replace the role of the parent or guardian or the role of their teacher, frankly, in this type of mentoring. So everything should be encouraging in terms of your interaction. I would say stay away from being overly critiquing. We even experienced, I think, that a little bit last year, where you know, some of the mentees are a little less eager to participate if they're feeling that their mentor is being, you know, a little too critical. So it's all about the positive and positive reinforcement. Please don't interfere with the school policies and procedures, and don't expect dramatic progress, I guess you could say. Slow and steady wins the race, just like any other mentoring or any other kind of relationship that you're engaging into. And don't feel that you have to provide the solutions to all the issues that the student may be facing. As an e-mentor and a workplace mentor, you likely won't you know, have to be too privy to what might be going on in that student's life. But at some point, as the relationship builds, you know, the student may start relying on you or sharing some information with you about, you know, issues outside of school. So if that's the case, you do not, it's not your role or responsibility to feel that you have to fix everything for the mentee.
One more thing before we leave this slide. I just want to remind you that the MentorPlace platform does have some filters in place to maintain confidentiality and language. And so if you try to, for example, write your last name in there, it will, the student will not see it. It becomes starred out. Also, they cannot use certain language. You can't use swear words, or, for example, in your communications, they will not show up. They will be filtered. So just keep that in mind as you are writing.
Not that we would expect mentors to do that. But don't worry if the kids are trying to test you a little bit. You won't be seeing language that could be offensive.
Of dates, and so with this, you can see again that October 27th date is for our first in-person meet and greet. You do not have to write these dates down at this time. We will have those available to you through emails and communications as we go throughout the year. So this is just kind of for your planning purposes, and just kind of look at the year ahead. And don't feel like you, I mean, obviously we are going to encourage you to come to those in-person meet and greets, but you don't need to reschedule your whole life for them. And, you know, if you have a family trip or a business trip or something that you have to attend, then please, you know, we understand that you know, people have other competing things on their schedule, so no problem there.
Yeah, the meet and greets aren't required, but are nice. A nice opportunity, I think, to help build that relationship. So if you're able, the extent that you're able to attend would be great.
So next we're going to talk about our MentorPlace platform. MentorPlace Workplace was designed by IBM just for this purpose, for allowing students to interact with mentors online. It is a global platform, so it is being used across the world. It was designed primarily for P-Tech Academy in Brooklyn, was the first kind of ECHO type program, and we were able to acquire that platform as well. We are able to pre-program the curriculum that we're using, and so you will see a variety of activities when you go in there. It's very simple to use, kind of intuitive. The students are able to use it very easily, so I'm confident that you will also. Like I said, all the communications are logged, so I can see anything, Mary can see anything that anybody writes at any time, so you can keep that in mind. And again, any inappropriate content is flagged. So let's take a look. What we want to do now is kind of just walk you through MentorPlace and what it looks like. Once we receive your applications and complete the background check, then we can activate you in MentorPlace, and then I will match you up with as many students as you would like to be matched up with. The email that is going to tell you your username and a temporary password. You can change your password at any time. Once you log in for the first time, it's going to require you to change that password, and then you're going to also create your profile. So let's take a little, let's see, I'm going to do that first. Okay. So as we create a profile, we're going to just kind of show you what it looks like here. So when you log in, and it pulls up a screen that kind of looks like this, and you'll see here that this is Mary's login, and then she's assigned to two different students here. And so as you go in, it's going to ask you to kind of talk about yourself. So here's the biography, just square that you can fill in information about yourself, about your career, about your job, if you're working, what your company does, and kind of what you do in a typical day. Now, I know we do have some mentors that are retired. You can talk about things that you used to do, just a way to kind of set it up for students so that they can kind of get to know you without meeting you. You'll notice that any field that has the red asterisk is going to have to be filled out. So there is a code of conduct. We ask that you read that code of conduct. You would click the box, and then you can, and it will save everything for you, and the student will then be able to see your profile information. Now if you go back up to the top, you'll see account information, and here is where you have the opportunity to change your password. If you need to change your email address, if you could just let us know that you're changing your email address, that would be great. The most important thing that we really want to take a look at on this page is this part right here where it says match limit. It defaults, I believe, to 4, and then what you can do is if you click the down arrow, you can just set how many students you want to work with. And then before you click out of the screen, again, you're going to need to hit Save down at the bottom. And you can choose an avatar if it, something that maybe represents you would kind of be good. And then at the top, again, you'll see that there are 2 different mentees that Mary's going to be working with. And so if we click onto one of these, it's going to show you the different activities. Now this is a sophomore, so what it does is it's showing you all of the activities that this person has participated in so far. So it does keep a kind of a running tally. For most of you, this isn't going to be filled out because you're working with freshmen. But if you are assigned to a sophomore, then you may see you can kind of see the history of what they've been writing, and it actually has the mentor communication from their former mentor as well. So you can kind of see the experience that they've had already. The first thing that we're going to, or one of the first activities that they'll have you do is here. It's called Introduce Yourself. And again, that's more just a background information. We can talk a little bit about that in a second. But what we wanted to do is give you an example of what a real activity looks like. So, which one did we decide we wanted to do? Okay. So we're going to take a look just so you can kind of see at the top here. Goal setting. So if we take a look at this, we'll click into one of these particular activities. And what you'll notice here is there's a reply box for you to read, but on the right-hand side, it gives you back background information about the activity itself. Sometimes there's videos for you to view, and then it also gives you instructions. So in this case, the instructions for the mentors and the mentee is the same. Sometimes it'll have different instructions for you. So in this case, it says finish the appropriate prompts and comment on each other's answers, offering suggestions as necessary, be specific. And so down here gives you, as a mentor, a particular thought-provoking question. How will you check in with your mentee each week, month on progress towards their goals? So it's just something for you to kind of think about as well. So when you're looking to reply, you would just type in the field box over here, and then you can either hit save as draft or you can hit reply. When you are satisfied that you and your mentee have kind of exhausted this particular topic, and again, oftentimes the mentees haven't been going back and forth as much as we kind of would have liked to, so we're going to be encouraging them in the classroom to do a little bit more back and forth instead of a just reply once and then be done. So we will be encouraging them to do that. But so, like we said, the responses are going to vary depending on the students themselves. So that is, you're going to have to just kind of live it for a little while and get to know your student and see what are they capable of. First of all, what is the quality of their writing? What is it going to look like for each student? It really is going to be individual.
Okay, so in terms of a tip for a mentor, just keep in mind more open-ended questions, you know, comments like, tell me more about that, that seems interesting, can you tell me a little bit more, for example, versus, you know, yeah, that's great, or something to that effect. Something that will help engage and to build that rapport in those responses a little bit, I think would help facilitate that with the student. And when you are looking to be done with a particular activity or satisfied with what the mentee has written, then you can come up here to the activity complete button, and then you would click on that. And once you hit that activity complete button, then the mentee is no longer able to post in that particular activity anymore. It does signal to the teacher that the student had completed it in a satisfactory manner, though. So we do ask that once the mentee has finished and answered it in an acceptable way, if you can hit activity complete, that will allow them to kind of receive credit for that in the classroom. So we kind of talked about creating a profile already. So again, this is just guidance for you. Once you go back to the office or at home and you're looking at this again, this presentation will be posted for you on the Danbury Early College Opportunity website. So then you'll be able to kind of follow these prompts, and it will help you kind of go to them. And we have some activities, suggestions, things that you can kind of see. The chat panel function that you see when you go into MentorPlace also, that's something that you can chat back and forth, but again, because you're not working at the same time frame as the student, it wouldn't necessarily be right away. It's not like instant messaging or something like that. You can't expect that. So that chat function is there when you go into a student's profile. On the right-hand side, it says, let's chat. You can start a chat, and that can be just, hey, how was your day, or something like that, checking in, haven't heard from you in a while. Anytime you start an activity or mentee starts an activity or a chat, you do receive an email that says, hey, you have a message from the other person, so that notifies the students. You should be aware too that the students, just because you send a chat to them and it does notify them via email, they hadn't, the freshmen in particular, are not that great about checking their emails. We are encouraging them to do that at least once a week, but sometimes technology glitches at the high school prohibit them from doing that in a timely manner. So just be patient with them. They will get back in there eventually. So before we go on to confidentiality, let's just open it up. Are there any questions that anybody has on specifically on what Sarah showed with Mentor Place and or the activities. Okay, there doesn't seem to be any questions, so we'll just move on to confidentiality. So we feel it's important for any volunteers and mentors working with students to just have some understanding about what the expectations are around confidentiality. So we're going to first start to talk about mentor confidentiality. So you never know who is listening to you tell someone about the student that you mentor. So we want you to share your experiences, certainly, because really that is the best source of new mentors. So we know that you're going to love working with the students in the DECO program. We want you to share that. The only thing that we ask is that you keep your students' identity confidential. So please no last names or any identifying information that may make them identifiable to others. And particularly as the relationship builds, if they, are just sharing with you, like, even something simple about grades, for example, gee, I really bombed my science exam, I feel really bad about that. Just don't share that with others. In terms of school confidentiality, the school must adhere to FERPA. So for those of you who are one-on-one mentors, you're familiar with this in training. So you as a mentor may really want to seek more information about your student, particularly since this is so specific to academics. However, the school cannot share certain pieces of information with you, and it's not because they're not being helpful or don't value you as a mentor. It's just that they have to, by law, abide by the FERPA laws. So all the information would be grades, anything else about their educational information, demographics, standardized testing, any medical diagnosis, any issues that might be going on in home life, et cetera, et cetera. And you may get some information anecdotally, but if you push for some of this information and they're not providing it, please understand that they must abide by FERPA. So I don't know if Sarah, is there anything else you want to speak to that?
There are times when you're going to want to break that confidentiality.
So when do we break that confidentiality? And these are situations that are highly unlikely going to occur as an e-mentor, but we just feel it's very important that should issues come up, you know how to handle them. So as you're developing the relationship with the student, and let's say you're chatting in the chat function and the student is sharing information with you that is cause for alarm, that you feel that they are harm to themselves or to others, if you suspect that they've been a victim of any kind of abuse, or if you suspect that they or their family is involved in illegal activity, is when you would break that confidentiality. So, if you're sensing that conversation is going down that path, mentors must have full disclosure to the student. So, I want to hear what you have to say, but if at any time I feel that you're not safe, I do need to tell somebody at school. And if the student has entrusted you to that point, they will likely tell you if there's something going on. So just as we train our one-on-one mentors, don't tell them that you're not going to tell just to try to get information out of them. Always be upfront. So who are mandated reporters? So you as a mentor are not a mandated reporter, meaning you're not legally required in the state of Connecticut to report abuse. You can, anybody can, but you are not required by law. In the state of Connecticut, it's individuals who are paid to work with children, so that's everybody in the school. So our recommendation is if there is something that the child is saying to you that doesn't sit well, to please let somebody at the school know. Our recommendation would probably be go right to Sarah Roy first, but you can go to whoever you're comfortable with, whether it's the teacher, whether that's the principals, guidance counselors, etc.
About that, let's just take a break for a second, and we'll see if anybody has any questions. Okay, so just a reminder, our first activity is going to be the bioactivity. If you can just share with us, you know, a little bit about yourself. If you can do it in a paragraph format, again, modeling proper writing for the students is really important for them to kind of see how they should kind of set theirs up. They'll be working on this over the next 2 weeks to have it done soon for you, so you'll get to know them a little bit prior to the first in-person meet and greet that we have going on. And just to kind of warn you, we do have a little bit of a crazy schedule coming up for the next couple of weeks. The students are only in school next week for 3 days or 2 days, and then the following week for 3 days. So it might take about 2 to 3 weeks before we actually get up and running. But once it does get up and running, then we will be you know, you can expect to hear from them on a weekly basis. So here's your first activity. And when you go in here, again, the bioactivity is, so you click on, here's your profile, here's your students, you could go in there, and if you scroll down on this person, it would be down towards the bottom here. You could hit biography. And I'm just going to hit this so that you can kind of see what's already been posted, because this had happened last year with a different mentor. You can see about the student, and you can see, and we are able to kind of see all the information that the person provided. We don't have the filters on ours, but you will have filters, so last names and other information will not show up there for you.
Okay, so that's about it for us. As you can see, as Sarah alluded to earlier, MentorPlace is very intuitive and very easy to work with. We want to thank you again for your time and for providing this mentorship that's very specific to skills-based to the students in the DECO program. It really will help set them up for success. If you have any questions, please contact one of the people below, Sarah or myself. Anders Drew is our contact at New Oak Financial, and Heath Durlester at Pitney Bowes. Those are our two key corporate partners in this DECO experience. So any of us would be more than happy to answer any questions or field any concerns that you may have. So before we wrap it up, we'll open it up one more time for questions. And it appears that you guys are all ready to go. So thank you, and you should expect to see the first activity in the next couple of weeks.
Thank you so much.